Joining us right now on the hotline is State Senator Roger Victory, Republican from Hudsonville, who represents Ottawa County. Good morning. How are we doing today?
Well, good morning. I appreciate the traffic report, but that doesn't sound very promising for those who are caught into that backup there. And, I'd probably like to do a little follow-up on and see what's creating that, because it's, again, thank goodness we got the 231 bypass and that investment we made several years given an alternative. But, it's that's a dynamic of our growing community there along the lakeshore.
No doubt. We drove over to Saginaw yesterday for a Grand Haven boys basketball game. I thought Jackson had the worst roads in any given town in the state of Michigan. I think Saginaw may have worse roads of any city that I've ever driven in. It was horrendous. But you guys have appropriated a lot of money. Maybe just kind of reiterate that to people. I saw the other day 19 bridges are going to work on in the state of Michigan. There are probably hundreds more than needed, but a lot of money going to road and construction work.
Yeah, that's I serve on the transportation subcommittee of appropriations. So we've been hearing from the department, and we heard from the director about ABJMA and the plan. And then some of the concerns we have is as we take this aggressive approach, is there enough crews and the inflationary factor there? Apparently, as they were indicating, some of these major projects, it's not that you need that many additional workers on it because of the scope of it, but I still question, making sure we get these things done in a timely fashion. But the need is there. The disinvestment we've had into our roads and bridges over the last 3 decades is showing, and we continue, especially in areas where we continue to grow. And the areas we need to be addressed, and we're looking at improving Interstate 196 between Hudsonville and Zeeland, and that stretch has really deteriorated, and looking for a major reconstruction. And the other areas, and a lot of our bridges too, and some of, I would call it the county level. And the programs we had for funding the bridges were the bridges were deteriorating quicker than what we were able to repair them. So with some of these federal dollars and a little more money on the balance sheet, we're employing that. And now we're going to see a lot more orange barrels and some more backups.
When you're coming north from Benton Harbor, St. Joe, and you're about ready to approach Holland, and it does a split to 196 to go to Grand Rapids, or you can go on 31 to Holland. That stretch of road right there from that split north into Holland to 24th Street is so bad. Is there any plans to get that done this year, or what are they doing with that?
Yeah, I know that's slated. I do not know if that's on the agenda, but I know, that I travel that section of the road there too. And so you notice they improved the other Interstate 196, and that got rebuilt because then some of those sections were just as bad on Interstate 196. But that has also been slated for some improvements because that has deteriorated. And a lot of that's due to some poor drainage there. That's a little wetter clay type soil, and that road, which is it's bad. You indicated very appropriately.
State Senator Roger Victory, a Republican from Hudsonville, who owns Victory Farms down there. We'll talk a little ag news here in a minute. At State Capitol in Lansing, giving us an update on everything that's going on. Okay, Michigan lawmakers advanced a proposal for slashing taxes yesterday, approving a $2.5 billion plan to cut the state income tax rate down to 3.9%, expand tax breaks for seniors, and put funding towards paying down the pension debt. Explain the pension debt part first.
Yeah, so we have... So there's a component in the unfunded liabilities of pensions out there, and so that way that's part of the process is putting ourselves on a better balance sheet going forward. And then they addressed the income tax component, which was raised when we were going into the Great Recession, some additional dollars, and at one point in time that was always implied to get rolled back, and for one reason or another it never did get rolled back. So here we have an opportunity to get that state income tax back to its normal historical level. And then, of course, some of the other pension, or I call it retirement tax. And I always believe it shouldn't just be related to the pension, just because if you have the opportunity to work for those organizations that give you a pension, it should be also opened up for those who were retired and have those that income coming from a 401k program. So we shouldn't pick winners or losers, just based on what work opportunity and what type of location they work.
Now, I don't know, does that, like, for example, the city of Grand Haven has got a real big problem right now with their retirement plan and funding that and the whole thing. Would that help cities like Grand Haven out or not?
Well, there again, I know the House just passes through, and so on that pension part, I would have to take a look at it. I know I've been working in our office on that component in which we were close to getting a deal, but yet we could not get that through the House. So we had some pushback from the House side on it. I know the Senate, we're looking at about a $50 million carrot stick, basically, if local communities would change some of their programs. We would come in with a dollar match. So basically, we would come and help shore up your pension program, but then going forward, you have to make some modifications so that way you will become solvent, because you just cannot, you can't put money into a system that's just continue on with its actuary charts and then continue to go in a negative area. But there's a proactive approach that the municipality could participate in, refining some of the programs, and then we would come in with a dollar match for that. And that would have been definitely, for the Grand Haven community, very beneficial. So I'm eagerly to take a look at what was passed out of the House and see once it had similarities to my proposal that I was working in the general government budget last year on. And so it might have actually used the hard work that I did in my office in the general government budget to probably use that as their example. So I have to do a little check out this today after that was passed last night.
And here's always my concern with the billions of dollars that are coming in. You guys got flooded with money you never thought a couple of years ago you'd ever get. And I know you're big on oversight and making sure that money is spent correctly. Can you explain to folks out there about your role on the oversight committee, and just making sure these dollars don't get wasted? You always hear millions of dollars got fraudulent or this and that. I mean, it actually gets spent the way it's supposed to be spent. How do you guys look into that to make sure it's actually spent correctly?
Well, here's a great example. So as I chair general government, and that has the Treasury budget. We have the Secretary of State's office. We have Department Bureau of Technology Management and Business, and all those departments. And it seems like some of these budgets have the same line items. So each department is trying to get that funding, and it's maybe a worthy cause, might not be a worthy cause. So it's like they're trying to do a double dip on it, and are these the same dollars? So that's where we're going through the committee process, and even I saw a line item in the DNR budget that seemed to be very similar in the Treasury budget. So now our job is to unroll those out and see if those are the same program or different program, and trying to get funding in the DNR along with some areas that Treasury is going to be administrating. So it's a complex process, but that's where our due diligence to follow through and making sure that and once those dollars get into those state agencies, good luck to try to ever find it back on how it is spent and if it's allocated to that specific project.
State Senator Roger Victory, who owns Victory Farms down in Hudsonville, joining us. Just real quick note, when we drove to Saginaw yesterday, we went the back way, so we went on M13, and we went by this gigantic, we thought it was a garbage dump at first, but it was a sugar beet processing facility.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
These giant mounds, and they had gigantic bulldozers and end loaders moving it all around into this like some kind of a big pile and everything. That's a big sugar beet part of the state, isn't it?
That is Michigan is one of the largest beet sugar producers, and beet sugar is used in specific products. And that is a highly capitalized industry, and you saw firsthand the power of that beet industry that we have here in Michigan, and the jobs it provides and economic input it does. And in order to have a strong beet industry, you need good road infrastructure, you need water processing, you need a lot of those components, and we're just blessed to have that industry here within the state of Michigan.
We went by a couple of farm implement stores. I hadn't been out in the country. I grew up in the country down in Champaign, Illinois, so I know farmers pretty well.
Sounds like you had a good drive. I can hear the enthusiasm in your voice.
We always have fun, Roger. Let's put it that way. But I hadn't seen a tractor implement place up close in a long time. The enormity of some of these tractors, I don't know what they run. I don't know how much they cost. But, I mean, it's not like the old days where the guy had an old, McCormick tractor, the red one, with the two little wheels in the front and then an umbrella over the back. I mean, it's high tech, isn't it?
Yeah, we moved a long ways from the Farm All M's and Farm All H's to what you see currently out there. And the price tag with the technology in these tractors, some are autonomous, hands-free operation. You could be running $600,000 today. So what was a price of a farm not that long ago is now the price into one tractor. But the efficiencies that these pieces of equipment do, and this is what's critical too, as we see inflationary food costs, we have to continue to get more efficiencies and cost effectiveness in our ag economy, so we prevent some of this hyperinflation they're going to be seeing at the grocery store.
How is I don't know how it's going to affect farmers in our country, but with what's going on with Russia and the Ukraine, how is that going to affect you? Because I think fertilizer. I mean, there's a lot of stuff.
1/3 of the potash for the world market comes out of that region where the conflict is in Belarus and also Russia. And so you take 1/3 of that production out, you will raise the price much more than 1/3. And right now they're already at record price, let alone even availability. Also keeping in mind that if you ever go on Google Maps, I'd encourage the listeners to do that and see that rich farmland. That's where this turmoil is taking place. So when you're running tanks through these fields and those areas, how's all that food production going to be occurring? So we are focusing on the high price of energy in oil and our gas, but stay tuned. If this conflict, this war, this aggression against the sovereign nation of Ukraine continues by the Russians, the Americans and Michiganders will be seeing that up front at the cash register at the supermarket.
Okay, and final thing here. Michigan businesses hurt by COVID-19 pandemic can apply online for state grants. The $409 million in funding was signed into law late last year. Eligible businesses in operation before October 2019 can get a grant based on financial hardship calculation up to $5 million. Is $409 million enough?
No, that will not address all the losses that occurred, especially on these specific venues that were affected. But this is, helps to shore up some of their balance sheets, some of the losses, and hopefully can put them in a little better place. That way, as we open, as the economy gets strong and robust, and have a busy year here in the state of Michigan, that they can keep their doors open and move along. And if anyone, and this grant process can be somewhat complicated, but our local chambers have been doing some real fantastic work. So anyone that listening here in the Grand Haven community, just reach out to their Grand Haven Chamber of Commerce, and they can actually navigate you through. But keep in mind, these applications need to be done before the end of March. So if you think you would be eligible, don't waste any time and get out there and contact us for some help if you need some help filling that application out.
I appreciate that. Senator, is there anything I did not ask you want to relay to everybody here?
Well, enjoy the day, and hopefully we can get that traffic moving on 31 there, and people can get to work on time.
Yeah, good luck. Senator, as always, we really thank you for your time. You come on every week religiously with us and give us some great insight on everything that's going around the state of Michigan. We sure do appreciate it, okay?
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Roger.